What up? What up? It's your boy, Cauvee, Inspiration Engineer. You already know what it is. Back with another episode of Success Leaves Clues, where we bring you coaches, authors, speakers, investors, advisors, mentors, people that can help you take your personal life and your professional life to a whole nother level. I am so excited. I am so pumped because we have another rock star brand coming onto the show. And welcome to season two, everybody. This is going to be really exciting because it is now a 2-in-1. You are going to be able to experience the guest not only once on the live, but also you will be able to experience the guest and the show on the podcast. The Rockstar Brand is the brand new podcast, and I am so excited to welcome my guest who is going to just lighten you up because she is on a mission to eradicate homelessness. Can you talk about a vision that is so powerful, so inspiring, and do it by helping people individually get multi-million dollar apartment complexes? So without any further ado, I bring to you the champion, Miss Jennifer Falloon. What is going on, Rockstar? How are we?
Hello, I'm awesome. How are you?
I am just shining. I'm just basking in the glory of what the Lord is doing. I've been really pumped and jazzed about this interview because I think a lot of people would be very, what would we say, would be very challenged by such a massive vision. But we know that with God, anything is possible. We know that if we set our mind to anything, that we can really make it happen. But what I want you to do is go ahead and just introduce us into you. Share with us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit just about your biography, if you will, as to who you are and how you got to doing what you're doing.
Sure. So I'm Jennifer Falloon. I am principal owner of Vorsa Investments, and we're a apartment complex acquisition and syndication company. So we buy apartments all over the nation, but I do platforms like this to teach about how everyday people, busy professionals, can help own those apartments without being the landlord. So they come in
Mm.
and we share the profits, we share the depreciation, which is a tax savings, and we share that back end. And so this is really how millionaires are made. And I
Mm.
love teaching about it, and I love bringing people in. We're an alternative to the stock market. So anybody who's sick of losing money or paying commissions, like this is your calling. This is where you need to be. And I'm really nobody super special, right? Like I'm not a CPA. My husband is, but I'm not. Like I'm not a financial advisor. Thank you, Jesus. I'm
Mm.
not an attorney. I'm just like an everyday person. Like I was 6 years as a single mom, struggled financially, constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I had a good
Mm.
job, but just was never enough. Right. And
Yeah.
anytime, dude, I had like an extra $100 that I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? The car would break or, something would break. And I'd be like, dang it, like I could never get ahead. And
Murphy's Law.
right. And I
Murphy's
was just
Law.
like, enough. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm not living my life like this forever. Like 6 years was
Yes.
like I was fed up, right? And so I did the logical step that most of us would do, and I put myself in school and started learning. But I also decided that what I was really going to get in God's word. Like I was living so
Mm.
outside of God and doing what I wanted to do and live life how I wanted to live, and it clearly was not working for me. So I decided like
Yes.
I was going to sit down and I was going to get in God's word and I was going to kind of do things God's way, right? Like still wanted to
Yes.
kind of like tell God what I wanted, right? But
Right.
I was going to start, right? And just
Yes.
start, right? That's all you need to do. God will handle it, right?
Yes.
But the
Absolutely.
desire was there. And I was manifesting. I didn't even know the word manifesting at the time. Didn't even know that's what I was doing. But I knew that
What year is this, by the way, so we have some kind of touch point as to
this is
timeline?
early 2009. Okay.
Okay.
Fed up with my life. I'm going to school. I'm working full time. I have two little boys and I'm just fed up. And I know that I have to make some changes. And so every day I'm in God's word. And I just kind of had this revelation that I'm dating all these losers, right? And I had a type, right? They were always in construction. They were always divorced. They always had some sort of like habitual issue.
Mm.
It was just bad. And I was like, how do I break this? And so I was so focused on what I didn't want. I had this revelation. It wasn't a revelation, it's the Holy Spirit. But, the invoking of like, stop saying what you don't want and start saying what you do want. And I started making
Yes.
this list of what I wanted. And I started praying on this list. And I was like, God, I know I'm asking for a lot. All right. And if this man doesn't exist, that's fine. But help me to do it on my own. All right. Like if you don't have a man for me, good. But I can't struggle. I can't live like this anymore.
Yes.
And my boss walked in the door. And I was like, not him though, but it was him. Right. Because after, like a little bit, like God just started laying on my heart. Right. Like, everything that I had wanted for months, he had already been telling me these things. And,
Yes.
and it was just, we just came together. We've been together. We started dating shortly after that. We were engaged and married, a whole whirlwind. And we just celebrated our 14-year wedding anniversary last week.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And so he allowed me to get to finish my college degree. I would never have been able to do that because there were
Wow.
classes I had to take on campus, and I would never, working full time, have been able to do that. And so I was able to leave my job and finish my degree and then get to be a stay-home mom for a while. And I got to really just love on my kids in their teenage years when, they most need a parent there. And
Sure.
so I got to be a soccer mom for a little bit. And then, our kids grew. My husband wanted to get into real estate. My oldest son, Cameron, in 2016, graduated high school and wanted to be in the special ops of the U.S. Navy. Scored really high on his ASVABs, was accepted into that program, and this was his calling. This is what he was going to do, and waited all his life to do this. And a week
Into the
before,
real estate or the
no,
military? Make sure I
the,
understand.
the U.S. military, but
Oh,
special
military.
operations, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, so the real estate thing hadn't really happened. We had kind of dabbled in it, but it wasn't a thing. I
Gotcha.
still had a job. I was a finance manager at a car dealership that my husband was the CFO of. So we have jobs, like we're busy. Cameron is trying to get into the military a week before
Hmm.
he is supposed to ship out. They cut 1,200 contracts, and his was one of them.
Oh, wow.
Um, so they
Let
wanted
me
him
let
to
me pause you right there really quick, Jennifer, really fast, because we've got 30 minutes and I want to give people as much value as to how they can get and do, the apartment thing, like do what you do and really blossom in that space, right? And one of the things that really struck a chord with me was we both had heard about what TI did in Bankhead, Georgia, with a 100-unit apartment that was more affordable housing because Georgia was suffering or struggling with the market and being able to
Mhm.
make housing affordable. And so one of the things that you said that really hit me, and I was like, wow, like I heard about that, was we want to take that same idea and that concept and that model and be able to help other people who are, suffering from homelessness. And I don't know if I told you, I think I did, but I was homeless in 2015, 2016. So I know what it's like to sleep under a
Mm.
bridge and be in the cold in Austin, Texas, under the 290, freezing my butt off, right? And it's rough. So I'm saying that to say I want to segue slightly into number one, um, why is that your passion? Okay, and then number two, how does an individual be able to acquire such an asset? Passion and then asset.
Yeah, well, so it's my passion because we had foster children at one time. They were young. We didn't have them to the point where they aged out. But as I was doing housing, we were in Florida, and the Charlotte County in Florida came to us and said, "Would you please help us house these children that are aging out of foster care?" Apparently, if they age out before they're graduated high school, they're just thrown in the streets.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, this is madness. First of all, who are these foster parents that are allowing these children to be homeless? Like, just because
Yes.
you're not getting the check, your home is closed to them. And so then I'm like, then what happens to them? And where are their friends? Like, why aren't their friends coming and saying, well, you can stay with us? And maybe that's because the parents don't have the financial means to feed another mouth. So what
Sure.
did I do? So I was like, oh my God, take all my houses, right? Like All of them, yes, please. Let's house all the children. But even somebody with 29 houses, 3 and 4 bedrooms each, it's not enough, right? Because now this is just one little county. There's an
Yes.
entire America out there who apparently is going to have the same problem. So
Yes.
what can I do? And apartment complexes seem to be solve all my housing issues, right? Like we have
Yes.
ideas for all of this. So if I can take one of our apartment complexes and open it to just children, and maybe not just children, how out of the that aged out of foster care, but what other children are homeless? How can we bring
Yes.
those in? And as I'm working through this, I see on the news, this is exactly what TI is doing. And I'm like, that is my vision. And if he can
Mm.
do it, I know that there is a business model that we can take from him and just replicate.
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to deal structure, right? Let's first off put some numbers and some valuations on the average, the bottom and the top. Like how, from what you've seen in your market, to do a deal that size, what are we looking at as far as, let's pretend that money is no issue, right? Like we've got all the money in the world to buy as many apartments throughout the world that we want to buy. So in your market on a low end, what do these deals look like numbers wise? And then what does it look like on a high end out where you are?
Probably a low end would be $6 to $8 million.
Okay.
And really a high end, like I bought 324 units in Slidell, Louisiana. It was a $30 million deal.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
mhm.
Wow. So for someone who is not a venture capitalist, for someone who is not on Shark Tank yet, for someone who is growing into that, like you said at the beginning of the broadcast, you were saying, I'm not, and I knew what you meant when you said, I'm not anyone special. Like, we're all special, but I'm not this celebrity mom, or I'm not this, just Wonder Woman. You're wonderful in the way that you are, but we get
Sure.
it that everybody, we're all similar, wanting to build a better life. So, for an individual who wants to play in this space and needs some practical things that he, she, they need to do in order to play in this space, what does that look like to be able to tap into a $30 million opportunity or a $6 million opportunity? Like, walk us through some steps there.
So easy. So really anybody can play, which is the great thing,
Oh, that's
right?
beautiful.
So, if you have a dormant 401k that you left a job and that money's just sitting there, we'll teach you how to roll it over into a self-directed account and invest with us. If you have
Mm,
money in a coffee can or under your mattress, dig that out. It's not helping you. Invest that money with us. Savings accounts, not making you any money, your stock market, get out of that before you lose all of your money, right? Quit paying commissions to a financial advisor. Roll that over. And I'm all about being diversified. So, you can leave that in. You don't have to fire your financial advisor, but pull some of that out and
mm-hmm.
invest. And if somebody's like, oh, I don't have any money, I don't have any money whatsoever, how do I play? There's room for those people too, right? Like you can bring the deal, strike up a relationship with a broker, underwrite the deal, bring it to us. If we can take it down, you have ownership. Bring
Mm.
money. If you know people, you don't have any money, but everybody knows somebody that has some
That's
money,
got my
right?
right.
Bring us the money, make that introduction, and you can come in as somebody that brought the money. And, SEC requires us to give you some other jobs. It can be super low key, super easy, very little effort, and that's it. So everybody can play.
How is it structured from a standpoint of money down or deposits or over terms of time? Like, what does that typically look like on a deal that's not fully funded on the front end?
Right. So typically it looks like, a $50,000 minimum, right? So, but Kaveh, if you only had 30, but your buddy has 20, open an LLC
Mm,
together, put that money together and come in, right? So it's
sure.
always workable, right? That's
Yes.
always ways to get in. But typically it's 50 grand as our minimum. And it's typically 6% interest and then something between 12 and 19% on the back. Plus, you
Mm.
get your yearly K1. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to be in a tax bracket, I don't want to pay taxes, your K1 should offset most, if not all, of any taxes that you would pay on that.
Oh, wow, wow. And then how long of and as far as on paying on it and all those things, how long of a deal structure is that on average?
Usually 3 to 5 years. So really depending
Mm,
on the market, right? We
sure.
have a back end projection. And if somebody meets that back end projection and certainly, supersedes it, we will cash out year three. If
Mm,
if the economy is like 2023, like, we probably should hang on to it a little bit longer. Maybe we're looking into 5 years. Maybe we're at the 5 year mark and the economy is tanked. That's okay because we're still cash flowing, right? We never buy anything that isn't already cash flowing. So we may not like
yes.
make the money that we want, but we are making our money. We might have to hold it 7 years. That's a worst case scenario, but we want to sell it top of the market. So if we have to hold it an
Mm,
extra year to sell it top of the market, look, we're all still getting our distributions, right? So what's
yes.
another year?
I love that. Oh, I love that strategy. I wanna go back because when you were talking about some of the opportunities to overcome as you were figuring out how to do what you do now, right? You were talking about that challenge, and there's a lot of people that feel enslaved by whether it's a job or whether it's something they don't want to do or whether who knows what it is, and they're looking for some advice, some guidance on just breaking free from this initial story so that they can transition into the new story. What would be some feedback that you would have for them, some counsel, some wisdom as to how they can break free from what does enslave them?
Yeah. So, I mean, learn how to raise money, right? So that's
Mm,
that's the challenge. Every syndication in the nation, we all need money, right?
yes.
Learn how to raise money. And you can come in with no money of your own, because if you don't have any, how can you come in? Learn to raise money. Learn to underwrite. Underwriting is, it's time consuming, right? But if
Mm.
you're a left brain numbers person and you're like, I have an hour a day to underwrite a deal, awesome, right? We need underwriters. So
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 let me pause right there because there's a lot of people like, what's underwriting? Like I don't have any idea of what
fair enough.
underwriting is. What
Yeah.
what is underwriting? What does that look like?
It's basically a calculator, right? It's literally we give you the calculator, and it's how we determine whether a deal is a good deal or not. You're given a rent roll, you're given a T12, which was the trailing 12 months of expenses in this particular complex, and you enter all the numbers, and it will spit out, is it a good deal or not? Is it red or
Mm,
green? Right? And so if somebody would underwrite, but it's tedious work, right? And I'm not a numbers person and I'm not a details person. It requires a detailed numbers person to sit and enter all of this and to really, put in some thought, like let's do some projections and let's make sure, where can we raise rents, right? So it is a little bit of a job. But if you're a
hmm
single mom and you have 2 hours, but of free time while your kids are in bed and this is your lane, this is what you need to be doing, right? Because
mm.
you get a piece of the deal with no money of your own, and all you put in is time that you had anyway.
Now, okay, so let me ask you something about that, right? So if I wanted to, let's say me and you were going to partner on this, and I'm independent, right? So what comes to mind is like a Keller Williams that's more like, this franchise and you've got all these agents that are underneath this umbrella. Is it a common practice where independents would work with you to maybe underwrite and you guys are going to, share in the revenues and then they go their own way? Or is the strategy more so they come into the fold under Vorsa and under what you're doing, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So ideally, I would love for them to come into the fold, right, and
Sure,
just underwrite for me. But
sure.
look, let's be honest. There are hundreds of syndications out there, and if you
Mm,
realize you are good at this and you're fast, I might pass up that underwriting deal, but somebody else may not, right? So if
mm,
that person were smart, if I passed it up, like I would be, typically their first, pocket. But if I passed it up, if they were smart, they'd be going to these other syndications. Look, I have this deal. I have a deal. I have a deal until somebody bites. So you could be in multiple deals, at one time. And if an underwriter got somewhere like 5%, that's a lot of money on a
mm.
$10 deal.
Absolutely, that's a big piece of the pie. Changed your life in an instant. What was the if you go back to like your first deal, I would imagine you didn't know a lot of what was going on. You didn't know really what to expect and all those things. What did it feel like when you did your first deal and then you received that check or you received that income? What was that like for you?
So it was incredible because I had only prayed for 14 units, right?
Mm.
Because we were dealing with housing crisis, right? And I was like, God, I
Yes.
just need 14 units. So then God was like, oh, I'll do you one better. I'll give you 314 or 324 units. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
I don't even know what to do,
He
right?
blessed the bars. He blessed the
I,
bars.
but I did what I literally just said for everybody else who has an underwriting to do. I shopped it. I went to our mentors. I said, I have this great deal. I went to my mentor 3 times with this deal. And I was like,
Mm.
this is a good deal. Take this deal down with me. And he wouldn't do it.
Mm.
And so in our mastermind, another couple came to me and said, hey, we're working with this syndicator. We love him. He's great. He's honest. Shop it to him. And so my husband and I actually flew to Dallas to meet this guy face to face, showed him the deal, and he was like, this is a good deal and we can take this down. And I said,
Oh
let's
wow.
do it. And
Let's
so,
do it.
but the caveat was, I wanted to be married to him. I'm like, I will move in your house for the next 90 days if I need to learn everything there is to know to be able to do this myself. Like, I don't want to have to constantly have a partners because, again,
Sure.
we were talking earlier about control, right? I'm a single mom many years. I run my family, right? Like, I
Yes.
have to be in control. And there's
Yes.
nobody that's going to protect my investors' money more than me, right?
Mm. Stamp
Really,
it. Let's
you
go.
are and what kind of awesome credibility you have. I want to be in control of my investors money. I want to make sure, because at the end of the day, if somebody's money gets lost, I'm going to replace that money. I'm going
Right.
to make sure it gets replaced. I'll sell my
Right.
house. I would sell my cars. I would sell my kidney to make sure my investors money gets
It's
replaced. So
protected.
I want to be in charge of that, right?
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, it is funny. In full transparency, folks, you know, when me and Jennifer were first talking about this, we were talking about, you know, the opportunities that could come. And we are working on something collaborative in the background. And Jennifer was like, you know, I'm happy to give you points basically in on the deal. And then I said to her, I would love to have points, and I also want a seat at the table. And she's like, absolutely. Like, I can show you how we do it. And I'm the same way. Like, I want to learn. I want to be around a mentor. I want to be around people doing these deals. And I love that you went from being in that student seat to now running your own successful business to now taking it that much further and being able to really serve at a high level. I think that that is beautiful. I think it is amazing. And I love it that your heart is really focused on, let me take, you know, you're not like, we all need revenue. We all need money. We all need profit. It's the lifeblood of a business, right? But your focus is like, I want to take this and I really want to take the blessings that the Lord has given me and I want to go bless and make sure that we can eradicate homelessness. I just think that that is just the most beautiful thing in the entire world. So I applaud you and commend you. And, you know, we celebrate the Lord that he put that on your heart and on your spirit. I want to transition slightly in our last 7 minutes into a conversation around purpose and around finding what is that calling. So it's a two-part question, first and foremost. Prior to working with the foster children, was that already on your heart to work with people in that way, or was that the first touch point in your life to propel you toward doing what you're doing with the apartments?
No. So before the foster kids, I had brought in other wayward children, right?
Mm,
So my kids were always bringing home other children that didn't have parents or they weren't eating or whatever. So no, I was always bringing
mm,
in wayward children. And then came the foster girls, right? And so I've
mm.
always had a heart for children, and
Yes,
just just wanting to be that mommy to all of them, right? And
yes,
making
absolutely.
sure they're all fed and they're all clothed and they're all happy, right? Because I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
this is our future. These are the people that we're going to depend on to run our country and take care of us. Like,
Yes.
we need to be taking care of them. So no, but the foster children and having them did really set that catalyst.
Mm,
That really set that fire that I need to do more. And then I was a young life leader, so I was able to pour into to children in that way, and I just grew, right, and I loved it. And then I realized, ooh, I really like teenagers better than the littler kids. Um,
sure.
and then that kind of grew. And so then when we got into the real estate, I was like, we need to be teaching kids this. We need to be catching
Mm,
them right out of high school. and teaching
Yes.
them this. And we need to be educating our girls, because this is the problem I had. I wanted a man. I wanted a man to pay my way, and I wanted a man to take care of me. And that's
Yeah.
great until it isn't, right?
Mm,
And you don't know what situation you're going to be in. And even if you married the perfect man in all the world, something happens to him, girl, how are you going to take care of yourself? And that life
right.
insurance money isn't going to last forever. So let's teach these kids early. How do you take care of yourself first, right? The airplane, like if when the mask falls down, you put yours on first. Take care
Right.
of you first, and then
Mm,
bring in the other stuff. So if something did happen, you're okay. You're not homeless. You're not begging. You're not borrowing. You're not searching for that new man to like come save the day. You can save your own day. You take care of yourself.
that's so good. It's so good. And it's so ironic, or the hyperbole is, you're not taught credit when you're 16. You're not taught money, in the US anyway. I can't speak for any other country. You're not taught how to build wealth. Like, it's not taught. And that is what I think is so powerful, is that not only are these wayward kids, not only are these, young adults that don't have a lot of direction. I mean, you're really teaching generational wealth principles that can dramatically, radically, completely shift an entire generation. We ain't talking about one family. We're talking
No,
about generational change. I just think that's powerful. In closing, guys, Jennifer has been gracious enough to provide you with a goal setting toolbox that you'll get. It's a link that will be linked up in the show notes, where you guys can download that for free and really help to set the right goals. If you are a believer, or if you are a person that is praying over those goals and doing those things, or if you're not, it doesn't matter, but it's still a very helpful tool to help you be able to put on paper, or to document, rather, the things that you want to accomplish and the things that you want to manifest. So I want to say one thing on this, Jennifer, specifically with goal setting. Why do you feel like goal setting is such an important, powerful thing that a lot of people need to know how to do?
well, I mean, because this is how we got to where we are, right? We took something
Facts.
similar to this and said, there's very pointed questions in this goal setting handbook, right? And it's, how do you build your wealth? Where do you start? How do you spend more time with your kids? How do you work, but do nice things for your family? So this is kind of like guide you through that. And then there is a handout in there that you can set your goal high, but how do you break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks and work your way back to, like, if I want to raise $10 million in the next, 90 days, how many phone calls is that? How many people do I
Mm,
need to reach out? How many podcasts, right? So it's kind of like, um, reverse engineering your
yes.
goals. But these are all important to have, and there's a lot of financial um, goals and questions in there. So if you're like, yes, I do want to do this, how do I do it? Well, start answering these questions and you can get there.
I love it. Guys, again, guys and gals, and anybody in between, all humans, the link will be in the show notes. The link will be for you to go and grab that very easily. So make sure you take advantage. It may not always be up forever, so make sure you get it sooner than later. Jennifer, in closing, where are you most active online? Where can people connect with you? Is it Facebook, Instagram? What is one place where you would say most people can reach me here?
Uh, Facebook is number one, LinkedIn would be number two.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll also have where you can connect with Jennifer. As you can hear her heart, you can hear her spirit. She's all about serving. She's an amazing person to connect with. I know I'm super blessed and grateful that we got a chance to connect and that we're doing what we're doing now. In our last 2 minutes, what is a message that you would leave us with? Something that's inspiring, something that can uplift us. What would be your final message to the people?
Oh my goodness. Just one message. Let's see. We just need to be taking care of each other, right? So at the end of the day, let's just be good human beings and good stewards of what God has given us, even if it's the smallest thing. It doesn't cost anything to like check on a neighbor. It doesn't cost anything to tell somebody they're pretty today, and guys, like, hey, I like your shoes, I like your shirt, I like your hat, like just kindness, right? And if we all did that, if we all just picked like three people throughout the day and gave kindness, and a compliment, and then they did that, and then those people they complimented did that, like How many lives are we uplifting by just giving a simple compliment?
That is absolute fact, guys. Even buy somebody's coffee. You wouldn't be surprised how you could just pay for the coffee of the person right behind you, and
Oh my
they're
gosh.
just like blown away that you
Mhm.
can do that. So, guys, spread some kindness, spread some love. We are so grateful and thankful for your attention, your consciousness, your ears. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was of this episode. Make sure to download that goal setting resource. Reach out to Jennifer, reach out to us. We love you. We appreciate you. And until the next time, you already know what it is. We got to get out of here. Boost!